whoever you've been in love with, regardless of gender, race, size, orientation, if you've never cried while listening to Can You Stop the Rain, you ain't really felt feelings for nobody. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to day number 9 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. I want to thank once again Miss Deanna Williams for stopping by on the Groove Line. Such a wonderful experience to talk to the mother of Black Music Month, and just her pouring into artists and even myself. I mean, she said she was excited to be on my platform. So it was like, wow, it just, gives me the, inspiration to keep moving and keep talking about these great music artists that I love to do. And I love that you guys are still tuned in throughout the whole month. Greatly appreciate y'all. Today, we are going to honor a man that we lost, unfortunately, 1 week ago today on Tuesday. That, of course, would be the legendary Mr. Robert Peabo Bryson, who was born in April of 1951, unfortunately passed June 2nd, 2026, after complications from a stroke. And what made Peabo such an incredible artist and singer was just the fact that when you look at the era that he came up in, because his career started really young. He started 14 years old. In fact, the funny story was he was touring with a group from his native Greenville, South Carolina. The dude couldn't say his middle name because apparently his given name is Robert Peabo Bryson, but the leader of the group that he was singing backup for couldn't say Peabo. So he said, well, I might as well just go by Peabo. So he started doing that. And then he started writing and arranging for a label called Bang Records. Now, mind you, Bang had a group from Atlanta called Brick. So that is a very interesting sub story in itself, the rise of Atlanta R&B as a popular form of R&B in the late 70s. Because, of course, you had Brick, you had Mother's Finest, was more on the rock side, but still very much, a black band. You had Peabo Bryson coming up. You had the SOS band later on with Taboo Records. Like, and Cameo, of course, I can't remember if it was Atlanta Sound or Atlanta United or Artists United Atlanta, something like that Larry Blackman came up with. So Atlanta started to become a mecca, pardon the pun, of R&B in the late 70s and early 80s, and Peabo was right in the middle of that. He released his first album on Bullet Records, which was a subset of Bang in 76, but Capitol Records then bought his contract out, and that's when he put out Reaching for the Sky in 77. And that was just a great song in itself, because I was coming back from my walk Sunday night, because I drive someplace to go for a walk, and then come back, drive home. And Patty Jackson from WDAS was paying tribute to Peabo on a Sunday night, and I heard Reaching for the Sky, and I forgot, damn, just how great this song was. Wanna be your lover and your friend. Like, that's the kind of stuff dudes sang about back then. Like, back when men really cared about women, at least liked them anyway. But yeah, you had that. You have, of course, Feel the Fire. Howard Hewitt, the legendary Howard Hewitt, tells a great story on his social media accounts after Peabo passed, that he was sitting in Dick Griffey's house in Los Angeles, um, about to become the new lead singer of Shalimar, because we don't know the Shalimar story. Gerald Brown was like asking for money, and Dick Griffey said, "You can money ass on out here." So Jeffrey Daniel called Howard Hewitt, and Howard is sitting in Dick Griffey's house, and Dick Griffey said, "So sing me something." And Howard didn't have a song planned. He said the song that was on his spirit was "Feel the Fire" by Peabo Bryson. And it's just the way that song sounds. Something that you told me stayed in my head. You wanted me to love. Yeah, y'all know I can't sing, but I don't care. But Peabo is one of those singers where you can't impersonate his voice anyway. He's just one of the kind. I mean, just think about it. When he started out in 77, you had Teddy, who was taking off with his self-titled. You had, still Dennis Edwards, David Ruffin. Marvin was still burning up the charts with "I Want You" at this particular point in time. Michael Jackson was about to take off into the stratosphere. But everybody of that era still mentions people. I mean, Ronald Isley with the Isley Brothers. I mean, sheesh. Jeffrey Osborne, LTD, Sugarfoot, the Ohio. And again, I say this all the time about back in the day. You had to be good. And this kid, nicknamed Peabo because the guy who originally discovered him couldn't say Peabo, is still one of the ones that people look up to when you talk about vocal acts. And he started doing duet albums after that. I mean, we ain't even talking about I'm So Into You. I mean, that's my jam right there. Close your eyes and I love you. Like, he just, I mean, the way he just started songs are like, sit back, relax, you are in for a treat. Like, Peabo Bryson is one of the original Quiet Storm All Stars. His place in music history is secure for that alone. But yes, you talk about We're the Best of Friends with Natalie Cole in 79, the album he did with Roberta Flack in 1983, where, of course, is Tonight I Celebrate My Love. And Michael Masser, who wrote that song, said, I got another one for Peabo. Like, this is one that I think is going to break him nationwide. And true to the form, that's exactly what happened. And that is my favorite Peabo Bryson song, If Ever You're in My Arms Again. Came out in the spring of 1984, hit the top 10 on the R&B charts, was a number one contemporary hit in the summer of 1984. Mind you, 1984 was a damn good year for music. You know, you think about Purple Rain, you think about Ray Parker Jr. and Ghostbusters, you think about all the synth pop stuff going on, you know, with Duran Duran and Sting and the Police and all these different folks. You know, Tina Turner making her big comeback with What's Love Got to Do With It. 1984 was a hell of a year. Absolutely was a hell of a year. And in that summer, Robert Peabo Bryson from Greenville, South Carolina, had one of the biggest hits of the summer, a yacht rock ballad that I don't want to hear nobody else sing. If there's a cover of If Ever You're in My Arms Again by somebody else, I ain't heard it. Don't want to hear it. Because Peebo's the only one that can sing that song where he talks about a once in a lifetime, you know, a second once in a lifetime can't be too much to ask. And, you know, the best of romances deserve second chances. Psst, come on, man. They wrote that. Michael Master and that crew wrote that song for Peabo, and it was perfect for him. Like I said, if there's a cover of If Ever You're in My Arms Again, don't put it in my ears because I don't want to hear it. Because Peabo the only one I want to hear singing that song until the day I die. And that is my favorite Peabo Bryson song, If Ever You're in My Arms Again. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I mean, Let the Feeling Flow ain't bad either. That's from the 1981 album I Am Love. Of course, I'm always going to talk about 1981. That's the year I was born. I love the music from the year I was born. That's just how I get down. But yeah, you you look at things like, you know, Crosswinds, um, you know, Can You Stop the Rain? If you have not sang that song, and some people drink, some people smoke, or you know, however they get through the vices of a bad relationship, and you haven't cried to that song, you ain't been in love. Can You Stop the Rain? Here's another day. Here's another morning without you. Here's another day will I get through it without breaking down. Like that's how he starts the song off. Like that just tells you where we're going right here. Like, man, I done woke up. This woman gone, bro. Or, you know, whoever you lay down with, you know, if it's man, woman, whatever. We are all accepting around here, especially during Pride Month. We do got some Pride Month stuff coming for y'all, so stay tuned. But yes, you know, whoever you've been in love with, regardless of gender, race, size, orientation, if you've never cried while listening to Can You Stop the Rain, you ain't really felt feelings for nobody. That's my personal opinion. That song is one of the greatest breakup heartbreak songs ever recorded. Forget the 90s, because this came out in 91. Forget the 90s. Forget black music. Forget R&B. Forget the Quiet Storm. I'll tell you, there's probably some white people out there that have cried to Can You Stop the Rain. Some Latino people that have cried to Can You Stop the Rain. Some Asian folk that have cried to Can You Stop the Rain. Our indigenous friends, I'm sure they have cried to Can You Stop the Rain. That is one of the greatest breakup songs of all time. I mean, those are my top two. If you had to ask me my top two Peabo Bryson songs, it's If Ever You're in My Arms Again and Can You Stop the Rain. But we haven't even gotten to the Disney stuff because that's what everybody that's what kind of ticked a lot of black folks and R&B fans off when the eulogies and obituaries started being published. Disney star Peabo Bryson dies of stroke complications at 75, and black people are like, "The you mean Disney?" I mean, it sucks, but he and Regina Bell did some things on A Whole New World, bro. That's why I think why people associate Peabo with Disney so closely is because that was the first time Disney really felt all inclusive. Granted, black people have been in love with Disney movies forever. Disney kids, black people were Disney kids going back a long ways, says the guy who has the entire DVD box set of Herbie the Love Bug. Yes, I do. But, you know, people, I mean, Aladdin just unlocked something in a bunch of young kids, regardless of their race. And that song just unlocked something in people, when you have two of the greatest singers of their generations and of all time, because Regina Bell's Unsung was on Sunday because they were paying tribute to people on TV1, and people paid her the highest compliment, even though he's one of the greatest singers himself. He said, "Singing with Regina Bell is like having a sunset. No two are alike, but they're all beautiful." Like the man even spoke in poetry. Like Peabo was just, oh my god, what a loss, man. What a loss. And he was still touring. You know, he still put out an album. He put out an album with one of the best song titles I've heard in the last 10 years. All She Wants to Do Is Me. Man, that is that was incredible. And it's not a bad song either. That and the entire album is pretty doggone good. I know Jimmy and Terry had a piece of the action in that album too. So yeah. But Peabo Bryson was just a special talent. When you look at what he was able to accomplish despite being overlooked, because when he started out in 77, there was Teddy, there was Ron Osley, there was Sugarfoot, there was um shoot, even Russell Tompkins Jr., the Stylistics. When you get into the middle part of the 80s, it's Luther, it's Freddie Jackson. It's so funny because Peabo left Capitol to put out, the album that If Ever Your Arms Again was on was for Elektra. Capitol got lucky. They lost Peabo, but then a year or two later, here comes Freddie Jackson. Music business, man. It's funny. Yeah, man. Peabo Bryson, one of a kind. I don't know if you can say 75 is gone too soon, but it was abrupt. And there are a lot of people, fans, contemporaries, peers, his loved ones, his wife and his 7-year-old son, his daughter, his grandkids. They're all hurting. We're all hurting. Like I listened to If Ever You're in My Arms Again for like an hour straight before I recorded this, and I just found myself like, damn, the legends are really leaving us. And we got to figure out a way to make help some new legends to carry this black music thing along, which is why it was so important for me to have Deanna Williams on the show so she can explain to people why Black Music Month and Black culture is so doggone important. But yes, we lost Peabo Bryson a week ago today. Very unfortunate. But the music lives on, man. The music absolutely lives on. It is just his catalog. Shouts out to Stephen J. Gaither of HBCU Game Day, who always checks in with me here on the Groove Line. When I put up the notice that Peabo passed, he said his catalog is deep. I said, hell yeah. I got to find a way to work Peabo in. And this is my way of paying tribute to a dude who may not have gotten all the flowers, but he got plenty of flowers from the people who sang alongside him, and they all respected and loved Peabo Bryson. And he had no shortage of fans either. So we miss him. We are going to miss him, but we honor him, and we are grateful for the body of work over the last 50 years that he left us. And man, what a catalog. What an incredible songbook for people to make love to fall out of love with, to fall back in love with. Robert Peabo Bryson, one of a kind. Peaceful journey, man. And thank you for everything. And that's going to do it for day number 9 of the Black Music Month 30 series here on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate you wonderful people for tuning in. Contact information will be in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell so you're notified of all new videos that drop on this channel. There's going to be 30 this month, so you guys better stay tuned. And don't forget to like and comment on these videos, because as you know by now, your boy talks back in the comments. So thank you guys for riding with me on the Groove Line. 9 days down, 21 days left here at the Black Music Month 30. And until the next time we ride, which of course will be tomorrow, may you find the groove, or may the groove find you.